Hey everyone, my name is Jennifer Clote and I am currently serving as the Manager of Recruitment and Outreach for the WMU School of Social Work. And I want to talk to you today about what it takes to become a social work major and what that even means and what you can do with it, and hopefully answer some questions for you. So before we jump into that, I like to start each event or recording with this important acknowledgement. So if you could join me for a moment in acknowledging those who have gone before. We would like to recognize that Western Michigan University is located on lands historically occupied by the Ojibwe, Ottawa, and Potawatomi nations. Please take a moment to acknowledge and honor this ancestral land of the Three Fires Confederacy, the sacred lands of all Indigenous peoples and their continued presence. The United States would not exist but for the free enslaved labor of Black people. Black lives, knowledge, and skill have been stolen due to violence and white supremacy. So I know that is probably not the way that you're used to starting a webinar or an event, but I think it's important for us, both as good citizens and as social workers, to acknowledge our past so that we can move forward differently. Okay, so one of the questions I get a lot about social work is what makes it different than some of the other commonly chosen helping professions? So here's a Venn diagram of some ways that we are similar and some ways that we are different from psychology and sociology, whom we typically share the most in common with. For all three professions, they're all three helping professions, studying people, and putting that into action. We share a foundation of research and human behavior theories that are going to be similar in all of those classes. So if you take an introductory course in each of these, you'll find a lot of the same behavioral theories and development theories repeated in each course because we share those. However, there are a lot of things that make us different. Both psychology and sociology have a what we call terminal degree, which just means that is what you need to be fully functioning in the profession, is a PhD. And in social work, it's a master's degree, and you can still practice just with a undergraduate degree. So you don't have to get any graduate degrees at all in social work if you don't want to, which obviously is a huge plus. It saves you lots of time and money. With psychology, we share a lot of things about our direct practice work. Both psychologists and social workers will do counseling and direct service. They both have a professional licensing structure, and both are projected to grow as far as job availability, 15 to 20% over the next 10 years. So both good options there. For sociology, we share this look at groups and social environment and kind of the bigger picture beyond just the individual and their families. And so social work takes a nice marriage of both the look at the individual and this group look at the larger society from sociology. And we combine those and use what we call the person in environment approach. So we're looking not only at the person right in front of us. For instance, if someone is coming in because they are struggling with unemployment, we will, of course, talk about what they're doing to get a job, resume, their interview skills, where they're applying. But I'm also going to look at their environment and what might be affecting unemployment besides just their individual behavior. It might be something like lack of access to affordable childcare or transportation. It might be historical racism that they're encountering in the workplace. So there's a lot of other big picture things that might be going on. There might be an economic downturn, say perhaps because of a global pandemic. So there's a lot of other factors besides just the individual factors that might be at play. And so a social worker is looking at both of those and looking to see what we can do, not only to help the person in front of us, but also to solve the societal issue that might be causing not just this client, but many others to be experiencing a similar struggle. Another thing that makes us different is that we use what we call a strengths approach, whereas psychology is going to use more what we call a pathological approach. Pathological approach is looking at what do we need to fix? What's wrong? How do we diagnose that? And how do we treat it? And that is certainly appropriate in some situations, but social workers try to take what we call the strengths approach, looking at what is going right. What are the strengths this person has in their life, both individual qualities and supports that they have in their network that might help them solve this problem, excuse me, not just now, but in the future. Hopefully work ourselves out of a job. We also practice on all levels, meaning we work one-on-one with individuals, or what we call micro, meso, which is with groups and organizations, and macro, which is communities, societies, big picture, policy, things like that, which is also different from psychology and sociology. So that was a little bit of what makes us special. I think what's most important to me and why I've chosen social work is this focus on social justice and making things right, not just for one individual, but also hopefully making the world a better place as a whole. And that's built into our code of ethics. I think a lot of people are wondering, what can you do with a social work degree? Most people think of individual counseling and child and family services or child welfare, because that's most commonly portrayed in the media and most commonly understood about social work. But there's so much more than that. That's certainly one thing that social workers do, but we do many, many other things. There are more social workers in the US than any other mental health profession combined. So we are everywhere. And social worker isn't always in the job title, so we might be a little stealth in some of these jobs. So you can see here, this in this section here is kind of what most people think of when they think of social workers. With child protective services and maybe in schools or hospitals and clinics. But beyond that, we also work in the court system. We work with people experiencing homelessness, family and group therapy, private practice. And there's also this mental health sector, so maybe working with people with mental illness, people who have different eating disorders or who are currently incarcerated, skilled nursing, hospice, rehabilitation programs. They also have medical social workers who work in hospitals. Maybe they help someone adjust to a terminal illness or to lifelong chronic care or to aging or grief and loss in that system. And we have community management, which is more of the macro work, political campaigns, social action on particular issues or causes, research, and working at government agencies, maybe even as an elected official. We've had some of our graduates recently be elected to local public office, which is really exciting. And then we have some fun non-traditional sectors as well. And that could be things like employee wellness, making sure people at a corporate office are taking care of themselves and balancing their work and home life, or corporate social responsibility as we are awakening to all of the issues that can be caused maybe in the supply chain for a particular business, looking at how we can become more socially responsible in the business sector. So there's some really great different aspects. Social work is very broad and very exciting, lots of options. And the great part about social work is that you can do all of this without having to come back to school for something else. And so if you want to switch up your career a little bit, you can change these sectors and you get to keep your profession. which is very handy. So we talked a little bit about this practice spectrum, working with micro, working with individuals and families, meso, families and groups, macro, working with organizations, institutions, communities, and systems. So there's not only a lot of different avenues for practice areas, but then even within that, you can work at a lot of different levels. For example, in a hospital, a micro interaction might be one where you are counseling someone who just got a MS diagnosis. And in the meso, you might work with their families on how to best support them. You might lead a support group for people with MS or a educational group on how to best manage the medical system. Or on the macro level, you might be advocating for policies, for research dollars, for uh, accessibility in the workplace for people with MS. So there's this broad spectrum. Even though you have this one particular area of interest, there's still a lot that you can do with that along this spectrum. So if all of that seems like a good fit for you and you're interested in pursuing a degree in social work, let's talk about the steps to get you there. So first, you apply and of course be accepted to Western Michigan University if you haven't already, and then you'll declare your major as pre-social work. That's because social work is what we call a professional major, meaning you actually have to apply and be accepted to the department as well as to the university before your major becomes social work. Then you'll meet with our social work advisor, Jill Hamilton, to make your degree plan, and she'll plug it into a system we call DegreeWorks, which will help you keep track of what classes you've taken and what you still have left to do before you graduate. Once you've completed at least 30 credits, including Social Work 2100, which is social work services and roles, then you can be eligible to apply to the social work major. Now, if you transferred in, we also have equivalents of those courses from some of our most commonly transferred from universities and colleges, but we can also work with you on one that hasn't been approved yet to seek approval from our curriculum committee. So just talk to Jill or I about that if you have questions. And then you'll apply to the social work major. You can apply using the instructions online at wmich.edu/socialwork/academics/undergrad/apply. Or if you go to wmich.edu/socialwork, then you can click academics and undergrad at the left-hand column, and there's an apply button at the top. We have deadlines of September 15th and March 15th of each year. So you can submit it in advance of that. Just know that we'll review those in batches at those times. So one of the most important components of a social work education is an internship. We call that our signature pedagogy for social work, which just means that we think that this is the best way for you to learn social work skills. It's real life experience, and you get to leave with an actual social work job on your resume. We always like to say that the last day of your internship is the day before you're ready to start your first social work professional job. We set you up, so there's no need to have to go find your own. I know that can be intimidating, and there definitely are some other uh, professional tracks that would take that route, but we have you give your top 3 preferences for places that you would like to be, and as long as they're accepting interns, then we'll have you interview there and find a good match for you. We have over 600 potential agencies, which is amazing because that's far beyond the number of students that we have. So there's lots of options. It's typically done over 2 semesters, either fall and spring or spring and summer, depending on your degree plan and where you're at with that. It is important to note that those are typically unpaid, and usually require daytime availability. So just keep an eye on that. There's lots of ways to get involved as a social work major. You can join Eta Sigma, which is our undergraduate social work organization, and you can actually join that as a pre-social work student as well. So if you're interested and kind of want to get to know people a little bit, that's a great way to do that. Dr. Linda Reeser, our BSW program coordinator, is the faculty advisor for that. So contact her with questions about that. Phi Alpha is our honor society. If you're in the top 35% of your graduating class within social work, then you'll be invited to be a part of that honor society. And that's a lifetime membership. Looks great on your resume. And then we also have a number of School of Social Work committees, which are a great way to get to know faculty members in a different format and to contribute your thoughts and ideas and feedback to the school in our development. We're constantly looking for ways to improve, and you are the most important voice in that. So I'd highly encourage you to get involved in some of these committees. And then the National Association of Social Workers in the Michigan chapter also has a student membership that has great opportunities for free trainings, for included job board and licensing seminars, exam seminars, all sorts of things that can be really helpful resources when you're just getting out. There's a fee to that, and it's significantly cheaper as a student than it is as a professional, and you get to keep that reduced rate for the first couple years after graduation. So it's worth signing up before you graduate. We also do an annual event with NASW Michigan called LEAD Day, Legislative Education Action Day, where we all go to the Capitol, or in the case of the last couple of years, virtually attend with one another to learn about different social welfare and public policies that we are currently advocating for as a profession and how we can make a difference in that kind of macro scale. It's a great opportunity. I'd encourage you to participate. And you can follow us on social media to learn more about all of our events, as well as job postings, volunteer opportunities, lots of great ways to get involved. Once you're admitted to the social work major, there's also a number of scholarships that you're available for. They range anywhere from $500 to $2,000. You can apply each year you're a social work major. So for some of you, that might just be 1 year, depending on how far along you were in your degree plan before you came to us. But for some of you, that might be 3 years. The deadline for those is February 15th of each year. It's an online application. You'll get a unique link emailed to you, but you can also find a button on wmich.edu/socialwork/scholarships. And just one application for all of our scholarships. You'll check off all the ones that are of interest to you and then write a paragraph or two about why you're a good fit for that. We don't have a ton of undergraduate students apply for these, so a lot of folks who apply get one. It's definitely worth your time. I would encourage you to mark that date on your calendar and make sure you have that scholarship application in. And then award notifications go out in late April, early May for the following fall. So if you have any questions, we'd love to hear from you, connect with you, get to know you a little bit better. You can fill out the request more info form on our website and we'll connect with you via email, or you can reach out to us. Phone number for our office is 269-387-3180, or you can email us at swrk-admi@wmich.edu. And then there's also some contacts I've listed here besides myself. Dr. Jennifer Harrison is our interim director for the School of Social Work. Dr. Linda Reeser is the BSW program director. And Jill Hamilton is the advisor for social work and pre-social work students. And you can connect with her at wmich.edu/HHS/advising. You can set up an appointment virtually, on the phone, or in person through their online calendar scheduling system. So we'd love to hear from you. Let us know how we can help, and hopefully we'll see you soon as a part of our social work program.